Hi, how's it going? Today I want to tell you about the culture shocks I experienced when I returned to Argentina after 12 years. I mean, it's only now been a year since the last time I went to Argentina, and it had been 13 years since I had set foot in my beloved country, Argentina. A lot of people out there might talk about the culture shock of leaving their country for the first time. For example, when we first arrived in Japan, so much time had passed since we left that everything already felt very normal to us. There are certain things that we know can definitely be shocking. But I actually want to talk about what impacted me when I returned to Argentina because that can also help you understand how different it is from Japan. The first detail I want to highlight is that when we returned to Argentina, there was a very simple, very silly thing, but for me it was very liberating. It's being able to take my phone off silent mode, off vibrate mode. Why do I say this? Because here in Japan, you basically live with your phone on mute. You can't use sound. I mean, the sound from your phone bothers other people. For example, I don't know, when I go to work, I go by car with my coworkers, and to avoid bothering them with the messages and notifications I get, I put it on mute. Maybe where I can leave it unmuted is during work. Because, of course, the calls I might get are from coworkers at the construction site, who might be far away. Your phone can't be ringing if you're going to eat at a restaurant, or on public transportation is where you should make the least noise with your phone. On the train, it's completely forbidden to have your phone on loud. You can't talk on the phone. And in Argentina, it even felt strange for me to have my phone ringing all the time or to just let it ring. Because I'm so used to having it on mute, that at home I keep it muted because I turn it off and then I forget to turn it back on. And I don't know. And I kind of felt a sense of liberation with being able to have the phone with the mute off. Or, for example, people sending voice messages. Here, nobody sends voice messages. I don't know if I've ever seen a Japanese person send an audio message. The thing about car horns in traffic is incredible, because here, people hardly ever use the horn when they're driving. I mean, for anything. Basically, yes, people do use the horn, but usually only when it's really necessary. If traffic gets stuck or something, nobody uses the horn because obviously the horn isn't the same as the accelerator. If you honk the horn, the traffic isn't going to move. And that's something that I knew was normal in Argentina. I remember that in Argentina, when traffic gets stuck, people get angry and start honking their horns. And yeah, it wasn't anything unusual. Another thing I remembered is the topic of delivery services. I did something really stupid, but honestly, I was surprised to have the Pedidos Ya app and to see how many delivery drivers there were. Here in Japan, there is quite a lot of delivery, but the thing is, it's limited to McDonald's, pizzerias, sushi, and maybe some restaurant chains here and there that do deliveries. Currently, there's Uber Eats, and it's getting really popular, but it's super expensive. Honestly, I ordered twice, and I really don't want to order again. Because it's very expensive, it really depends a lot on the distance. And sometimes, if the restaurant is more than 2 kilometers away, sometimes the delivery can cost you up to $10. And you might be spending $20 on the food. I mean, $30 in total for delivery, for something that costs $20. It seemed like a lot to me. On the other hand, on Pedidos Ya, it seemed to me the price was pretty affordable for me. And also the variety, you know? There's everything. And it's good because I got to know a lot of foods, really good places to eat, and overall I only had one bad experience. One day I felt like eating Chinese food. Yeah, you go to Argentina to eat Chinese food. Are you a genius? And the thing is, I had ordered from a place called El Gourmet de Shanghai, something like that, which was near Almagro, around there. Okay, the food smells rotten. I'm telling you, the guy should come back. That way I can make him smell the dish. Are you telling me he's not going to come and smell the dish? Okay, the restaurant is El Gourmet de Shanghai, and there it is. They hung up on me. Is this rotten, Admiral FJCI? I placed an order, already at 10:30. It was supposed to arrive between 11:30 and 12, and it arrived at 1:10. It's 1:10 in the morning. 12:50, when I called on the phone, everything was wrong, everything was really bad, and then I checked the reviews on Google Maps. 2.7 stars. And on top of that, there was a photo of a person who got it. Most people had the same problem, that it arrived an hour late. One person said it arrived 4 hours late. Another who took a photo and there was a little cockroach in the food. A disaster. But aside from that, that's a bad experience I wanted to mention. And it's revenge with that place. Because honestly, you might say it's crazy, but don't mess with people's jobs. No. The reviews are there. And that place shouldn't even be open. To sell food. Because people could end up in the hospital because of that. And you can't forgive those things. One thing is that it doesn't taste good. Another thing is that it's spoiled. But aside from that, honestly, it's nice to be able to... One time, I asked for asado delivery. Was delicious. The amount of breaded cutlets with sides we must have ordered, and pasta. It's great because there was a bit of everything, and honestly, I miss having such a good delivery service like the one in Argentina. One thing that was really hard for me to get used to was the tipping culture. Just to be clear, I'm not against tipping at all, but it was really hard for me, especially since in Japan, tipping doesn't exist. It was something that sometimes made me constantly worried about whether I had change or not, and things like that. We had taken a bus to Rosario. And I remember being on the bus. There were suitcases to unload from both sides of the bus, and there was a guy in charge of unloading the luggage and getting tips. And I was on one side, and my suitcase was on the other side, and it was right there. I just had to do this, and it was done. And I said to the driver, "It's okay if I grab my suitcase because it's on the other side until you finish unloading all the other suitcases." And the driver told me, "I can't say anything to you. If I say something, the guy gets mad at me." I had to wait a long time for him to give me the suitcase. And well, yes, it was easy. For example, for delivery. For delivery, yes, just say here, keep the change, and that's it. It was easy. But when it was very specific moments, where the only thing you had to spend on was just the tip, like for the suitcases or bathrooms and things like that, it's complicated because you definitely need the change. Also, in a restaurant, you wait for your change to come back and then you leave the tip as well. So, is different. The next point I want to highlight, and by the way, it's also something I'm asked about very often. It's the topic of marijuana. The thing is that here in Japan, it's something that's super, ultra illegal. If they catch you at the airport with even a little bit of weed, that's it. You're definitely going to jail. And of course, in Argentina, home growing was just recently legalized. That's great, congratulations, because it's a good step forward. Anyway, back to what we were saying. Well, I knew there were a lot of people who use marijuana in Argentina, but it was really crazy to smell weed in so many places. I have a lot of friends who didn't know they were using marijuana, and they were using it. It was something easy. I agree with its use. Both medicinal and recreational, because, well, that's how it is. Consumption can't be stopped. It's either to feed the drug trade, or it's that it falls into the hands of the government, that it's controlled, that it's regulated, and that the government collects the taxes. I prefer that more taxes go to the government than to feed the drug trade. Basically, this channel is not made to try to influence anyone's ideology. It's a completely personal opinion. If someone doesn't agree, that's perfectly fine with me. Another thing that surprised me, in some ways for the better and in others for the worse, was the issue of trash. What surprised me in a good way is that, well, I saw the city, the capital city, looking much, much nicer, much cleaner. I remember taking the train. I remember one time I took the train. There was a vendor. I was sitting by the window and there was another guy sitting next to me. He bought an ice cream, grabbed the ice cream wrapper, and he leaned over me to throw the trash out the window. And on top of that, he got me dirty and said, "Sorry." He got chocolate all over me. And that's good because I think that bad habit is gone now, which I am amazed by it. And I remember that in the capital, there was trash everywhere. It was very common for someone to drink a bottle of water and just throw the bottle on the sidewalk. It was pretty ugly to see that, and it's good because, at least where I've been, I didn't notice trash thrown everywhere. And what really bothered me was the issue of household garbage. Because here, for example, the garbage is separated by days. One day for containers, one day for organic waste and paper, one day for plastic and cardboard. And honestly, where we were staying, where we had the trash can, grabbing a plastic bottle and putting it with the rest of the trash. Honestly, it really hurt me. It hurt a lot that everything went into the same container. It's something I've really gotten used to here, separating the trash. The value of the currency was something that really had me constantly confused. I really couldn't tell what was cheap and what was expensive. Imagine, when I left Argentina, the dollar was something like, I don't know, it wasn't even 5 pesos. 3.50. I think it was a pretty stable price of 3.50, and I don't know if it was 5. But anyway, the point is that I don't know. A bottle of water cost you 1 peso. A piece of gum cost you 5 cents. And of course, suddenly I saw that a piece of gum cost 5 pesos. And a bottle of water cost 20 or 30 pesos. I mean, no. I didn't have the margin. It's not like I was just adding a zero to the prices. And a lot of people were already asking me if I could walk on the sidewalk or on the street. Yes, it's fine. There are some streets that do have marked bike lanes, others don't. But for the most part, you can run wherever you want. And, of course, the thing is that I couldn't figure out the numbers, like saying this is expensive, this is cheap. Sometimes I saw water for 50 pesos, sometimes for 20 pesos. And I said, I'm really confused, honestly. And even today, I'm still kind of dizzy about it. Because there were things that I noticed. Because of the exchange rate. And I was like, wow, isn't it super cheap? I mean, for the exchange rate in dollars. It was very, very hard for me to tell what was cheap and what was actually expensive. Another thing that I really liked when I was there was the freedom people had with their own appearance. I mean, here in Japan, you can see everything. Hair of all colors, strange clothes, outfits, looks. There's everything. But the thing is, they always move within a niche, within an environment. I mean, if you go, for example, to neighborhoods like Harajuku, and you can find people with hair of all colors, really strange makeup, super weird outfits. Yeah, sometimes I've even seen elderly women with purple hair. Everything. But it's like there are certain things there's a middle ground that's missing. Either you dress extremely flashy in your free time, but you have to be completely normal in everyday life. For example, the number of hair colors I saw in Argentina. I haven't seen that many here. I remember, for example, when we met up with the guys from Geeky Legal. Greetings, Steph. There were 4 people and all 4 of them had their hair dyed, each one a different color, and I thought it was awesome. And another thing is the topic of tattoos. Here, I don't know. There was some news recently that tattoos are now legal in Japan. That headline is very false, because it's not that tattoos are illegal, it's just that they're frowned upon. And well, I think the article was actually about how tattoo artists no longer need a medical license. Something like that. I have no idea about that. The thing is, there are Japanese people who get tattoos who aren't part of the mafia, because, well, the prejudice starts with the idea that tattoos were something for the mafia, and now there are more people getting tattoos just because they like them. Even so, although things are opening up a little, still, anyway, very, very, very few people get tattoos. Very few. I hardly know anyone. Japanese people who get tattoos? Honestly, if it were up to me, for example, I would love to cover my arms with tattoos. I would love that, but I don't know. It makes me feel a little weird to be here and get all tattooed. I don't know why. Maybe it's just being a coward. And well, it's also really expensive here. I miss being able to say, hey, are you free? Send a little message. You say, hey, are you free? Should we meet up? Yeah, let's meet up. And that it's that simple to get together with friends. Here, it's like everything about getting together with, at least with Japanese people, getting together with a Japanese person is You have to schedule a day at least a month in advance. And honestly, that's a pain. It's not cool, it's not good, I don't like it. The worst part is that I have to accept it. I have to admit that I got used to that way of making plans with friends and, of course, with Japanese people. No matter how much you share interests, you might be able to hang out with them all week. And they're cool people, but it's always outside the house, it's going to a bar, going to karaoke, it's never at someone's home, never. You can make it a budget-friendly plan, sure, but in the end, you still end up spending anyway. Well, there's also the issue of space, because here the apartments and houses are smaller, and that's another complication. The truth is that since I'm really focused on the channel, basically, I don't have much time to see my friends either. That's the reality. I hardly use my free time to hang out with friends, mostly just to make videos. Guys, my only day off during the week is Sunday, and today, since it's Sunday, I'm dedicating it to the channel. The last point isn't really a culture shock, but more like a bad experience I had. Still, it does highlight some cultural differences as well. For example, in Japan, giving up your seat to people with priority is something not so common. Let's say a situation I've seen myself is that in the priority seating area, there's an elderly lady sitting, a pregnant woman gets on, and the elderly lady stands up and says, "Dear, please sit down, sit down, sit down." And the pregnant woman says, "No, no, no, please, you sit down. No, 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 no," and refuses the seat. Both of them end up standing, and at the next station, someone else gets on and sits down. Normally, when you want to give up your seat to someone standing in front of you, you get up and pretend that you're about to get off. But usually, if you get up and say, "Please, have a seat," the other person usually refuses, unless they really feel the need to sit down. When we went to Argentina, I remember we had to take the Roca train to go to the south area. And we got on the train car. We left the first seat free, which is for people with priority, and we sat in the next seat. The thing is, we were tired. We fell asleep. And the thing is, there comes a moment when, like that, for several stations, I open my eyes, see the name of the station, then close my eyes again and keep sleeping. The thing is, at that moment when I opened my eyes, I saw a guy who got on with a baby, but that's it. I was sleeping. I wasn't watching where the guy with the baby was going. I just saw, that's it. I closed my eyes. Then, during the ride, I start to hear a lady saying something like, "Yeah, they just pretend. They act like they're asleep." And right then, from being relaxed inside, I went, "Inside, no, please. Don't let him be standing next to me." And I was in a very uncomfortable situation. I mean, what I should have done was open my eyes wide and maybe he was next to me and I could have given him my seat, but I was already in a very uncomfortable situation. I don't know if they were pointing at me or what, but the thing is, I was sleeping. And suddenly, 2 minutes later, a lady says, "Can someone give the young man a seat?" And I got up like this, kind of nodding off, half asleep, because the voice was really close, really, really close to me. The thing is, I know I wasn't sitting in the priority seat because it never occurred to me to sit there. And the thing is, I got up and a girl said, "Thank you, ma'am," who I guess was the mother. The dad was the one carrying the baby, and the girl said, "Thank you, ma'am." I was the guy who was pretending not to notice, and I felt so bad. Luckily, it's nothing serious, but I could say it was my worst experience during the whole month I was in Argentina, because I really felt very bad. Since that day, if I get on a bus with only a few empty seats, I don't sit down. I travel standing because it left me completely traumatized. I mean, I just didn't even want to sit down, and if someone gets on, I give up my seat. No, I just traveled standing because the feeling left me really messed up. Now, people who aren't from Argentina, what do you have to say about the points I've mentioned? Are there a lot of similarities with Argentina or with Japan? Or are there things that are very different? Let me know, guys. Well, see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to know little things about Japan or differences. Cultural ones. And that's it. Give it a good like. Let's work the algorithm together with a good like and a good comment. And I send greetings to you, your family, your dog, your cat, and your annoying neighbor. Bye.